the legend, the female who will be fighting at 125 very soon in less than a month. I hardly recognize you, Miesha. I mean, you're so skinny these days. It's unbelievable. How much do you weigh? It's crazy. You know the fight's in a month, right? You don't have to lose all the weight beforehand.
Oh my gosh, I think less than 3 weeks now. I don't know if that qualifies as a month.
Okay,
We're
fine.
moving right along, yeah. So yeah, we're good. I weigh a lot less than before.
Did this happen like a little easier than, I mean, I say easy. I'm sure it's not like you snap your fingers, but is the weight coming off? Is the process easier than you expected it to be?
You know, it's been a really long grind because I was supposed to fight May 14th, and then I got on this little show called Celebrity Big Brother, and then that was kind of like a training camp in itself, just in its own right, like the mental grind and the emotional fortitude that it took to get through that show. And then, right, we kind of come right back into this. So it just feels like it's been a really long camp, but I think everything's gone progressively how it's supposed to. So I suppose, yeah, with that being said, it hasn't been difficult.
And I'm going to ask you, obviously, about Celebrity Big. You freaking won the whole thing, unbelievably so. And you know what? If I could just say, I feel like not enough was made of this. I feel like this kind of flew under the radar in the MMA world. You won the whole damn show, and I feel like we should have been behind you a little bit more. We should have and I hate to say, I feel like the UFC should have been behind it a little bit more. Like I only kind of found out that you were on it towards the end.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I mean, I wouldn't know because I was on the show and they completely cut you off from the outside world. So it's not a recommendable experience to be on that show. However, winning it definitely made it worth it. And totally different demographics, right? I think that demographic is like women, you know, and then the other UFC's demographic is male. So I guess maybe the guys just didn't really care. They're like either fight or we don't care.
Right. And how many weeks away? Like how many weeks are you cut off from the world?
Well, it was with the quarantine, it would be 5 weeks.
Man, 5 weeks you couldn't talk to your kids?
Not at all. It was heartbreaking. That was probably the worst part for me, was just not knowing what's going on with my kids. I mean, they're such a big part of every day for me to not see them or not know how they are. And they were a little under the weather when I went on the show too. So I really want to make sure that they were healthy and well, but no, that was part of it. It was definitely a test. It was definitely a test. Difficult.
Your poor husband alone with the kids for 5 weeks. My wife has been away 5 days and I feel like collapsing. How did he do it?
Well, my mom did come in from out of town and she helped a little bit for sure, but no, he was just Superman. I don't even know. I think I have so much more love and respect for him after that, because I know how difficult it can be. I'm definitely, you know, the parent that likes to be in control of everything too. Like I make their nap schedules. I do the potty training. Like I have to do those things. And so when I was gone for a month, I was just like, oh my God, I just don't know how this is going to go. I was like stressed out about it, you know, like what if, I don't know. It's just a mom thing, I guess.
Yes. Well, thankfully it all went well. And by the way, what do you win when you win Celebrity? Like, do you get a check? What is at stake?
Yeah. $250,000. I think it was $250,000.
That's not bad.
So no small feat for sure. I mean, for a month, like it's not a bad payday. It worked out. If I didn't win it though, it would not have been worth it.
Right.
No way. Second place got 50 grand. Forget that. I'm just telling you right now, you guys, it was way harder than anybody could have imagined. Just being locked in a house of strangers. And then it's such a diabolical game, if you will. It's like you have to create these teams and then, you know, so you can keep the votes on your side. But then you're forced to cannibalize your own team and teammates as the game goes on, because once you've eliminated the other half of the house, now it becomes a competition between everybody who's been riding with you. So it's just a, you know, very strange concept to try to wrap your mind around. I didn't like that.
Are you a part of like the Big Brother ecosystem now? Like, will you be on different Big Brother shows, or is it one and done for you?
I don't think I'll be on any other shows other than maybe doing like little like guest appearances. Sometimes they have them host different games, you know, they'll come back.
Right.
But other than that, no, I think that was a one and done for me.
Okay. All right. Seems like that's enough, you know.
Maybe Dancing with the Stars or something though. I mean, I would be down for that. You don't have to be isolated from the world, you know?
Yeah.
I heard that's a Celebrity Big Brother or Big Brother is is the toughest show to do because of that isolation. All the other shows, you know, have the challenges, but you don't have to leave your life
Sure.
for a month. You know, you can still go back to everything once you've done your episode or your practices or whatever it is.
By the way, last thing on this, how do you even make it on the show? Like, do you try out? Does someone submit you? How does that happen?
Well, maybe some people do, but in my case, they reached out to the UFC. So I don't know if you knew this, but Chuck Liddell was on season 1 of Celebrity Big Brother. And I think through that correlation and them kind of probably wanting to fit, you know, an athlete role, you know, needed a female, maybe that connection was already made. And so they reached out to the UFC. UFC reached out to me. I was like, this sounds insane, but sign me up.
Okay.
And, you know me. I'm a risk taker.
I love it. I love it. Well, again, congratulations. Now, as far as 125 is concerned, why did you decide to do this?
Well, you know what? It was Mick Maynard who kicked off the idea for me. And it just really wasn't ever something I had considered. It had always been 135. And then I started to sit back and say, you know what? What if 125? What could I do there with women who are 10 pounds smaller? You know, pound for pound, I think if there's any evolution of the sport that's gotten more challenging in the time that I was gone, it would be the size of the women. They seem a lot bigger at 135 right now. Ketlin just seemed so big and strong at 135. And it's not that I felt like I couldn't compete there. It's just, could I compete better at 125? And that's really what it's about. I just want to do my best. You know, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. So I want to make that fast track to the title. That's what I'm looking to do and make waves in the division. And when they offered me Lauren Murphy, I thought, she's ranked number 2. She just fought for a title. So, you know, it's a really good fight for me. And I felt like this was the universe conspiring to tell me that 125 is where it's at and what I need to do at 125 remains to be seen, but I'm excited to make the change. I mean, or you got to think about this too. When I first started in MMA, there really wasn't a 125. It was 135 in Strikeforce, and it was 135 that got us into the UFC. So it just was never really an option. But even back then, I remember when I fought in the Strikeforce tournament to get my title shot, I was walking into fight week at 138. I walked into the Mario Renault fight week at 139.
Wow.
I walked into Ketlin Varys fight week 141 because I was trying to put on the size. So size was never an issue for me in the beginning of my career because so many of these women didn't really know how to wrestle. I mean, we were all very one-dimensional. It was either a striker or a grappler, but not that many wrestlers. I was a wrestler, so me knowing how to use my weight and manipulate the weight did serve me well in that beginning part. But now everybody is very well-rounded. Everybody can do all of it. So now I just feel like maybe going down to 125 is going to help my strength and my skill set compute at a better advantage for me. I've never had height and reach advantages at 135 anyways. I've never been very big for the weight class. So I think dropping down to 125 it was obvious, and I just never really realized it until Mick was like, I think we should do that. And I was like, I think you're crazy. And then I was like, oh, actually maybe, all right, let's talk to my coaches and see if we can do it. And yeah, they said, absolutely.
Are you worried about fight week? Like, do you think it's going to be tough to actually hit 126 in this case because it's a non-title fight?
Well, of course, I think like it's going to be a more difficult cut than what I was doing. However, I have had some hellacious cuts over my career that have motivated me to never have to do that again. So we are on point. I'm already within striking range of 126. I don't believe that I will have any problems to make it, but it's going to be a little bit more of a grind. I mean, the last 2 fights was almost like what cut? I didn't really have any weight cut. So we'll have a weight cut this time for sure. But I believe it will be to my advantage. It won't be too much. And it won't be too little. It will be a little, Goldilocks theory going into this fight. We're going to get it just right.
Have you been told that if you win this fight, you are getting a title shot?
I have not been told that, but I feel like the assumption is there because especially this fight with Valentina, Talia, wow, she was quite amazing. But who else is really left in the top 5? If I come in and beat the number 2 ranked woman in the division, I feel like that definitely puts me in the conversation, right?
Right. And
I'm going to enter the chat.
yes.
So.
And Valentina, I don't know if you saw, referenced you afterwards. So
yes.
Let us get into that fight. First of all, who do you think won that fight? Taila Santos or Valentina Shevchenko?
I honestly, on my first impression, thought that Taila Santos won the first 3 rounds.
Yeah.
That's how I saw it. That's how I saw it. And then going back and watching it, I mean, I could see an argument where Valentina could, depending what you favor, could have won the fight. But in my mind, I still feel like Taila Santos won it, especially because I think that the visual of the eye, which I believe primarily came from the headbutt, was calculated in the judges' minds. However, it really shouldn't have been, because it was a foul essentially. So I think Taila took it.
What did she do well? What surprised you about what Taila did in the first 3 rounds in particular that gave her so much success against someone who's undefeated at 125 and has often looked somewhat invincible at 125?
Yeah, she wrestled. This is what I've been saying the whole time. We already know what happens when people strike with Valentina. It's not a great day for those people. But even what you saw with Juliana Pena, if we can even dial it back a minute, if you guys remember, yeah, she did get armbarred. She made a mistake, and you cannot underestimate what Valentina can do on the ground. That would be remiss by anybody to say like she's not dangerous there. She certainly is, but she got taken down by Juliana, and second time she got taken down by somebody who can wrestle, and the transitions were on point. Talia believed in herself, and she didn't second guess her routes, and she out-scrambled Valentina on the ground. And these are things that I've been saying I believe that I can do. I am capable of doing these things. I'm capable of making this fight much more interesting than people who are too timid to force their way in and grab a hold of Valentina Shevchenko. She's absolutely dangerous on her feet. But what happens? What happens? And when I saw Maya.
Jennifer.
Thank you. Yeah, I was saying Jennifer. Jennifer Maya, get on top position, which was actually an error of Valentina's. She was trying to get a takedown and she slipped to end up on bottom. It happened also in the fight with Santos, where she went for a takedown, ended up on bottom. I just remember seeing Jennifer Maya hold her down a round, and at that time, I never saw myself fighting 125, so it didn't really matter to me. But now I watch that fight, and I was absolutely salivating. Then I see Taila Santos go out there and do that's like, it was almost frustrating to see, because for me, selfishly, I wanted to be the first one to say, like, I knew this could be done. But now people kind of see it. And I do understand. I believe that Valentina went in with a little bit of an injury. So sure, could that have played a little bit of factor into her footwork and, her ability to defend on the ground? Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I'm licking my chops.
So I was just going to ask you, I'd imagine Saturday night, Sunday, you wake up and you're like, well, I mean, the confidence now, let me get by Lauren, and correct me if I'm wrong. Do you feel like there's a blueprint out there to beat Valentina Shevchenko, that it has just been shown by Taila Santos and a little bit by Jennifer Maya around 2 years ago?
Well, the worst part is I already knew this. Now the rest of the world knows it. I already believed this. I didn't want Valentina to look any less indestructible. I wanted her to stay where everybody thought that she was so unbeatable, because I already knew I could do that. I could do it, So for me, it's kind of like, it's been shown. Now people, are going to believe in me more to be able to do it. I didn't want that. I wanted to be the massive underdog. I wanted everybody to count me out. I wanted nobody to think that Miesha Tate, 5 years retired, 2 kids, coming back 2-1 in the UFC, would be able to take out Valentina Shevchenko. But now I think people can see a little bit of what I've been saying might hold some water. I don't know if that benefits me, but either way, the game plan has not changed. We have Lauren Murphy, July 2nd. She's no easy task. She's primarily a grappler, much different fight than Valentina Shevchenko. I would say her strengths are according to my strengths. So it'll be a battle of wills and skill set in there. So of course I've got to get past that one, but she is ranked number 2. Long-term goal is to get to Valentina Shevchenko. I hope to make that one giant step closer after July 2nd.
By the way, I can see that my good friend and fellow Canadian Renee Paquette is rubbing off on you, because that was a great wrestling promo right there. That you just cut it. That's the promo. 5 years away, the mother too. And I know you have to get to the show momentarily. Thrown down with Renee and Miesha on SiriusXM Fight Nation.
Yes.
That's at 2 Eastern. But that was great. See, I could see the wrestling. The wrestling is coming out there, and I mean pro wrestling, not the amateur wrestling. Is there any worry, because it was so close, because of the clash of heads and all that they'll run it back and now you'll have to wait longer if all goes well for you on July 2nd? Do you fear that they might do that?
I don't think so, because sadly enough, I think it's just that Ty Santos is not a big enough name, and that's unfortunate to say. I mean, I think her I do not mean that disrespectfully whatsoever, because I'm a huge fan of hers, especially after that performance. I thought she was fantastic. However, I just don't think the UFC is going to do an immediate. Well, how often do they do immediate rematches for contenders?
Yeah.
Almost never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Almost never. Now, if Tally had won, absolutely, I think the rematch would be happening. But I think it's largely going to be up to Valentina, and she's already mentioned my name. She already said, she's going to be, I know she's going to be keeping an eye on that fight, and I know that she wants to fight me. It's no secret. I feel like everybody wants to fight me. I'm the uncrowned queen. I've got the target on my back almost as big as any champion. Everybody wants to take out the cupcake, but no, we're going to get it done July 2nd. And then I think Valentina and I will be next to lock horns. That's my plan.
Were you surprised that she mentioned you after the fight? I mean, usually Valentina kind of keeps it down the middle. Were you surprised that she specifically said your name?
Yeah, it really was. I was surprised that, because normally she just, she's very kosher with everything she says. And I didn't take it disrespectfully, but I didn't expect her to kind of acknowledge that this would be a number 1 contender eliminator fight. But that's great, though, because if the champion's calling for it, I think it's even that much more likely to happen.
So you fight her. How do you think it plays out? Like, how do you see the fight in your mind? I'm sure you thought of it, right? Do you think it's like a decision like that? Do you think, what do you think?
I think I have the finishing ability on the ground inside 5 rounds to get Valentina out of there. I really want to show the evolution in this camp. I just feel like I've continued to evolve. The mind-body connection is still continuing to evolve, and I think maybe I'm discovering my true weight class, maybe from the very beginning. So with Valentina, similar. Obviously, I know I want to get it to the ground at some point, but I think I could get the fight done. I think I could finish it.
And not to get ahead of myself, but I'm just curious, you pull that off the way you are envisioning it, beating Valentina, the great Valentina Shevchenko, maybe even finishing her. What do you think would be a bigger deal, like when your career is all said and done, legacy stuff, right? The first thing they mentioned, the win over Holly at 196 or that?
For me, it would be that, because Valentina Shevchenko is such a dominant champion. I mean, it is so difficult to do. I can even say to myself, I mean, I didn't have a successful defense. I just have so much respect for all these women and athletes who are able to successfully defend continually again and again, because, going in there with the kind of injury that she had. I mean, this happens in fights, and you're always fighting the next best person, the next hungriest person who's been taking out all the competition. So it's not easy to do. It's no easy task. So I have a tremendous amount of respect for her, but legacy wise, I mean, that's going to take the cake for me.
Just 2 more things, and then I'll let you go. Just curious about Joanna. Speaking of legacy, she retires on Saturday. Incredible performance by Zhang Weili. She is an absolute beast. But just, you were there with Joanna. You guys were fellow champs at one point. Yeah. What do you think Joanna's legacy is? And by the way, are you surprised that she retired?
I was surprised that she retired. I didn't expect it. When I saw her taking her gloves off inside the octagon, I was like, wait a minute, is she going to retire? Because I thought she looked phenomenal. I mean, I thought both women looked like elevated versions of themselves. And I still think that Joanna has a lot to offer should she choose to continue fighting. However, I as I've come to realize later in my life, and I think what she's come to realize, and I had an interview with her just a couple weeks ago on our show, Throw Down with Renee. And she looked so happy and fulfilled. And I recognized that in her. She was in a great place. She was going in a great mindset. I just feel like, she's ready to move on to the next chapter. I've been in that position before, except now she's 35 years old. I do think this is probably a smart decision because it's what she wants and what makes her happy. And life is too short to be miserable. We got to go out there and find what lights our souls on fire. We get one go around in this,
right?
Unless you believe in reincarnation, but we don't remember our other lives anyway. So basically we get one go around in this. And I think she's doing it right. She wants to start a family. She wants to be a businesswoman. She's phenomenal. She's just an amazing, amazing woman and a phenomenal fighter. And I think she'll always be recognized as one of the best to ever compete in the UFC.
You think Zhang beats Carla Esparza?
I do. I think that's a hell of a fight for any woman. I think Zhang Weili, the way that she's so explosive and she's so deadly with her hands, Carla sometimes tends to get to start shooting a little further away when she really gets cracked. And so I just think that if she does that against Zhang, she's got to be really prepared to lock horns with Zhang Weili, and really technically she's probably the better wrestler. I feel like, if you look at on paper, could she out wrestle her if it was just a straight wrestling match? Probably Carla would win. But in MMA, when you take the other things into factor, the damage, the amount of power that woman generates for 115 pounds is incredible. It's really unlike any other female in the division. So I think she all around is going to be a little bit too much for Carla.
Last one, Juliana, Amanda 2. Who do you have in that?
Oh, Juliana.
Wow.
For sure.
That definitive.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I knew she could do it the first time and people were kind of like, oh, you're crazy. You're just biased. But now the aura of invincibility has been cracked. It's been damaged a little bit. And I think that not only everybody else knows it, Amanda knows it. Because Julie's just not afraid of Amanda. Like all the other women were kind of like deer in headlights and getting scared. I didn't know what I was getting myself into with Amanda. I didn't know she could hit like that. You know what I mean? It's not that I was like scared of her. She caught me off guard. She legitimately showed up and brought something that I didn't expect. And she caught me, and props to her. But Julie's like, I don't give a F. Like, I am going to go out there and I'm going to punch this woman in the face and I'm going to make it an ugly fight. She's going to know she was in one regardless. And I think now it almost seems like maybe Amanda's like making excuses, but it kind of comes across that way when she's like, oh, I've got to leave this gym now. I've got to start all these other things. Like, I mean, that's a team that changed her. Like, that's when she joined ATT, she went from the Kat Zingano fight into Amanda, the Lioness Nunes. So I don't know, but I will say I'm very confident that Julie can do this a second time. And, she's a savage. She's a beast. She's one of my favorite training partners of all time because she has no quit in her and she's incredibly skilled. And more so than skilled, she's just got this incredible will. Like she if there's a will, there's a way. Absolutely. I think Julie will get it done.
Miesha, you're the best. Pleasure as always. I'll let you go do your own show. It starts at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific on Sirius XM Fight Nation. How about me? I plug a show that is going on at the same time as my show. That's the kind of guy that I am, Miesha. I'm that kind of nice guy.
I love it. Thank you so much. And could I give a quick shout out
Sure.
to my new website and online store? I'm actually wearing this shirt right now, a little shameless plug, but I've always wanted to start my own small business and I'm really excited that I've done it. I've built a great team. I've delegated a lot of this. So we do have shirts and apparel, rash guards, reusable water bottles, because I hate single-use plastic. Don't do it. Don't drink out of it. Don't you dare, Ariel.
I won't.
Use a reusable water bottle. Yeah, it's terrible.
I have, this is my daughter's water bottle. See?
I was going to say, I figured as much.
Yes,
we share water bottles too. So. But it's MieshaTate.net. So if you guys want to check it out, we have my flyweight debut, a limited shirt coming out for just this fight. So yeah, appreciate the support, you guys.
Okay, so check it out, MieshaTate.net, right?
That's it.
All right, all the best. Good luck with the cut. Good luck July 2nd. I'm sure we'll be talking to you around then, but want to wish you the best, and thanks for always giving us some time.
Absolutely. Thanks,
All right.
Leo.
Take care. There she is, the great Miesha Tate, the future Hall of Famer, the pioneer, the trailblazer, returning to action on July 2nd to fight Lauren Murphy in her flyweight debut.